What's up, people? It's Chris here to break down the big fight, Antonio Margarito versus Miguel Cotto. Also going to give some thoughts on Abner versus Joseph Agbeko 2. Actually, I guess it's Cotto Margarito 2 as well. And a quick prediction for Delvin Rodriguez versus Paul Wolak 2. So, 3 rematches, 3 predictions. Let's do this. All right, big fight weekend. Honestly, we'll cover the big fight first because I'm sure people that are watching this video are most interested in watching that or hearing about that fight, whether for myself or anybody else. And if you want to hear about the other fights, get to those at the tail end. But that said, Antonio Margarito, Miguel Cotto rematch going down. The first fight happened back in 2008. It's funny because as much as we've been talking about it lately on HBO 24/7 and elsewhere, I forgot that it's been 3 years since that first fight happened to go. What I think is one of the most interesting facts of that first fight, obviously the storyline is, did Antonio Margarito have loaded hand wraps for that first fight? Everyone, seems like the majority of people, including Miguel Cotto and his fans, believe that he did, and that it affected that fight and possibly Miguel Cotto afterwards. But if you look at their fights since, Antonio Margarito has definitely been worse for wear. I mean, Miguel Cotto since that fight has fought Michael Jennings, beat him, Claudio beat him close, Manny Pacquiao lost to him, and Yuri Foreman beat him. Whereas Antonio Margarito lost to Mosley, fought Roberto Garcia, I believe it was, won but didn't look impressive, and then got smashed by Pacquiao. So Miguel Cotto has actually looked a lot better since their first encounter than Antonio Margarito has, for what it's worth. That said, Margarito, of course, coming off the loss to Pacquiao, he's been out for a year now, since that fight where he took that ass whooping. Miguel Cotto got a win, stoppage, 12th round stoppage over Ricardo Mariga. Didn't look all that good in that fight, but got the finish and got the W. Which is all that matters at the end of the night. As for this fight, obviously, I guess the biggest factor in this bout in particular would be Antonio Margarito's eye. It's an issue. It's an issue why the fight almost didn't happen in New York, why it barely got cleared there, last week. So I think it's going to be an issue in the fight. Also, Miguel Cotto's got a new trainer. Emmanuel Stewart's out. Another guy's in. Miguel Cotto's had quite a few trainers, so I guess this is something that he is used to. Nothing big to him. I don't think he's going to make a lot of changes. I think they know what to expect. I mean, he's already been in with this opponent before. So for the most part, he knows what style to expect and what does and does not work. I guess Miguel Cotto's biggest issue in the first fight, he says, outside of the fact that Margarito may or may not have had his gloves loaded, is that he just ran out of gas. Says he doesn't know why, but he did. I mean, he ran out of gas because Antonio Margarito, 1, was putting pressure on him from round 1, and 2, was effective with the body shots, as well as shots to the head. That's going to wear any fighter down, as did Miguel Cotto. And of course, if Miguel Cotto's gloves, did have a plaster in them, that's obviously going to only add to the equation. That said, when this fight was first made, I'll say this. Antonio Margarito, I've said it time and again, up until the Shane Mosley fight, was my favorite fighter in the sport at the time. Not since then. Just can't respect him with the whole load of rap thing. But in this fight, I was favoring him when the fight was initially made. I just thought, I don't know, even when you watch that face-off, I just thought that Miguel Cotto, or Antonio Margarito, has that mental edge. He's got that psychological edge over Miguel Cotto. And I thought that would be a factor in the bout. Plus, he's the bigger guy, stronger. Just thought he could kind of apply the same game plan. But now, with Margarito's eye, man, just the way it looks and stuff, I'm worried that this fight is not going to go the distance. It's not going to make it the distance. I almost think that Antonio Margarito has got to look at this fight. This is the way I'm looking at it. I don't know if it's going to play out this way or not. Who knows? But I almost feel like Antonio Margarito's got to look at this fight as a 6-round fight. In that his eye, if they start getting banged out early, it could close real early or cause real problems. So he doesn't have the full 12 rounds. He can't think, okay, I can run this guy down like I did the last fight, get him in the late rounds. I don't think he can really go with that strategy. I mean, I'm sure he might have that mind frame, but you really got to factor in that eye, and if it's going to be an issue, and that this fight probably might not be able to go that far because of the condition of it, especially Miguel Cotto targets it early and often. So that said, Margarito's got to get an earlier start. He's got to cut off the ring a little bit more effectively than he did in the first fight. Just really put it on Miguel Cotto and try to remind him of that first fight. Just remind him what he was in there with and who he is in there against. Whether or not he's got the punching power to do that, who knows? I mean, obviously, you won't be able to tell until the fight happens itself. Miguel Cotto definitely wants this fight. Both these guys want this fight. Both have a lot to prove, a lot on the line in this fight. It's really. I mean, there's no way. I don't think we're gonna get the same fight that we got the first fight. I don't think it's gonna be that good. Rematches rarely are, but I do expect a similar style fight. But man, I wanted to pick Antonio Margarito just because, like I said, I thought stylistically he could do what he did in the first fight. But like I said, I'm really worried about that eye. I don't think Margarito's going to get any benefit of the doubt or breaks over there by the referee or the doctor necessarily in New York. So, although I do think Antonio Margarito has the capability of repeating his performance in the first fight, I'm going to favor Miguel Cotto to win by stoppage based on Margarito's eye. I just think it's going to get swole up, might get cut, and I think that the commission and the doctors, ringside position, and the referee are going to be keep an extra eye out for it, pardon the pun, because they don't want anything to happen. He got cleared for this fight. They don't want anything bad to happen. They don't want it to look bad on their commission that he got approved, or the New York State, or the, anyone involved with the fight. So they're going to be extra cautious with it. I think that may cause them to pull the trigger if it's giving Margarito any kind of problems or they believe it is. So I'm going to go with Miguel Cotto by stoppage, TKO, because of the eye. That's it. I don't think Miguel Cotto is going to get a stoppage by beating down Margarito or anything of that sort. I just think he's going to be able to work that eye, and it's going to be an issue, and the fight's going to be stopped. I'd say between rounds 6 and 8. But if that doesn't happen, if his eye does not become a factor and all things are equal in this fight, then I favor Antonio Margarito by unanimous decision. I know it's kind of hard. It's kind of like, oh, who are you really picking? You're kind of flip-flopping. I know, but based on the circumstances, that's just the way I see the fight going. All right, real quick on the undercard. You got Delvin Rodriguez taking on Paul Wallach in a rematch of one of the best fights of this year. Was a really good fight. Speaking of eyes, man, how Paul Wallach was able to finish that fight, or just fight that entire 10 rounds of that fight, or 10, 12 rounds, I don't remember how many it was. Exactly, with that eye swollen the way he does, mad respect to that guy. And I'm so glad the rematch was made, because that fight ended in a draw. It was calling for a rematch. I think this is the perfect venue and event for it to happen on. I'm going to favor Delvin Rodriguez. I know I feel like I should favor Powell just because of the fact that he was able to get a draw with basically one eye for the second half of the fight. But just from what I saw, I think that Delvin has the skills to be able to beat Powell. Powell puts on all that pressure, but Delvin Rodriguez, he just needs to fight smarter. Just keep Wallach on the outside. Just box this guy, and you should be able to win this fight. I know it's easier said than done. Wallach brings a lot of pressure, but I think that Delvin Rodriguez should win this fight, and I am going to pick him by decision. Probably split decision, though. I think this is going to be another close one. So, wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. Split decision, if you're predicting that, it can definitely go either way. All right, other fight. And man, this fight is completely overshadowed. I honestly forgot up until last week that it was even happening this weekend. No disrespect to the fighters involved, though. Abner taking on Joseph Agbeko rematch. As we all saw, finals of the bantamweight tournament earlier this year. Their first fight happened, and of course, Abner won by majority decision, but questionable, not necessarily questionable verdict, although you could have debated that as well, but more so questionable tactics on the part of Abner Mares. The repeated shots below the belt, in particular, what was that, the 11th round, where he clearly nailed Joseph Agbeko low, and not only did the ref not call it, he gave, Agbeko a count, like it was a legitimate knockdown. That was the most egregious thing I've probably seen in boxing this year. So I'm glad there was a rematch. Credit to Abner Mares, Frank Espinoza, and Team Espinoza for not trying to avoid this rematch and getting back in there and making it happen. As for the fight, you know what? I picked Abner Mares in the first fight, and I thought he would win a little bit more clear cut. But man, it's hard to say in this rematch because Joseph Agbeko was still able to get a majority, or he was still able to get, a draw on one of the cards in a fight where he was fouled numerous times, which had to affect him throughout the bout. Plus, he was able to hurt Abner Mares in that fight. He hurt him with the overhand right once in that fight. Now, he didn't capitalize on it, but we did see that he has the ability to hurt Abner Mares. So we definitely know that for a fact. Abner knows it, and Agbeko knows it as well. So he's got a little bit of an advantage in that aspect. I think this fight more than likely is going to go to a decision, though. I think it's going to be another close contest. It just seems like when these guys fight, or when they fight similar opponents, being Johnny Perez and Victor Chenian, man, it's just all four of those guys. It's just going to be close bouts no matter what happens. Of course, Agbeko blew out Perez pretty much in the rematch, but, you get my drift. Anyways, I think one of the big factors in this fight, though, is the fact that it's happening in California. It's happening in Anaheim. more or less Abner Mares' backyard. He's going to have a lot of crowd support there that usually at times will sway the judges. I'm not saying that the decision's not going to be legit. I hope it will be. I hope everything is cool with this fight as far as reffing, the fighting, and the judging. I hope that's all, even. And there's no controversy. But that said, I'm going to favor Abner Mares to get a decision here. Split decision. Maybe a split decision. I think it's going to be a close fight. Agbeko has the ability to win this fight. Did a lot better in the first fight than I expected. Like I said, he does have the ability to hurt Abner Mares. But I still believe that Abner Mares has a little bit better, a little bit quicker, a little bit more tools to work with. But he might be a little bit reluctant to go to the body after what happened in that first fight, which is something that he does a lot. He's a good body puncher, but he might be reluctant to go there in fear of getting some low punches. And you can be sure that the referee has probably been let know if those punches stray low too many times, you're going to be deducting a point, which could definitely get in Abner Mares' head as well. So that may be a factor as well. But I think it's going to be a close fight. Razor thin. I'm going to favor Mares by split decision. That's how close I think the fight's going to be. But if it goes either way, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on these fights. I want to hear your predictions for all three, who you think is going to win, and why. So yeah, Miguel Cotto, Margarito, Paulo Del Rodriguez, Mars Agbeko 2. Who do you favor and why? That's for now. ScienceOfViolence.com, link in the description of the video, as well as link to my Twitter. Wrote an article last week on ScienceOfViolence.com about Antonio Margarito, kind of questioning or asking if he'll ever be forgiven for, in the eyes of fans, boxing fans, for what he's done. I can't really get into it too depth here. It'd take too long. But if you're interested and want to give your opinion, be sure and check that out. I would definitely appreciate it. All right, that's it for now. I'll probably be back next Sunday to talk about all these fights afterwards. But until then, I'm out.